Hey there, and welcome back to Modern Grassroots, the podcast where we talk about youth soccer in North America and how it's getting better. And I'm your host, Jordan Millington, and today's topic is a topic that I've recently talked about a lot all the time, and it's what or how, as a parent, do you decide where to put your kid in soccer? It's a fundamental and extremely important thing that you can do because we look at it as where should my soccer player or kid play? In reality, you're really choosing where should I put this kid for the next 2 hours to be babysat? Or where is the best environment to put my kid in order for him to learn some things? And so today, I'm going to go through some things that parents have sent me that I've asked on Instagram and other places and just personal opinions. And then I'm going to basically tell you how you can choose where to put your kid into soccer. So without further ado, let's get right into it. So a bit of background again about myself. So for me, I've coached about 10 years now, about a decade, and I've played throughout my entire life. So I do have a good idea of what a good soccer club is, what a good coach is, and what kind of a negative environment or feelings are towards soccer. I've had kind of both cases. In my last episode, in the first episode of this podcast, actually, I did talk about my own negative experiences as a player and how that kind of shaped me going forward and what type of choices. And it's gonna really impact where I think I'm gonna put my own kids when I have them. And so for me, especially, I think it's just super important to know. It's extremely important when choosing where to have your kids play. The coaches is the first thing that I think of, and I'll get to those reasons. But for me, a coach is the leader of that team. The coach sets the environment, it sets the standards, they set everything. His or her opinion and choices and what they do with the players really forces what the team will do. And this can come in a lot of shapes, like a lot of different ways, shapes, and forms. And for me personally, if you have a coach that wants to win all the time and will sacrifice development or playing time for these things, you're going to have a negative experience, and therefore your kid is going to have a negative experience. A coach that only wants to win at the cost of development is an egotistical person that does not deserve to be coaching on a field for youth. As you get to the higher ups, yes, winning is a lot more, but even when you talk to really, really high level coaches, I've never, a couple little minor professional teams that I've talked to, it's all about development still, and it's all about environment and culture, especially at like when you're winning. So for me personally, if you're looking and you're scouting and you're wondering where to put your kid, if you see a coach that really their behavior reflects a coach that wants to win all the time, I would stay very, very clear of that. You're going to have a lot of short-term happiness and you're going to be very excited for a little bit, but eventually that's going to wear on your kid and they'll burn out and they don't want to play. Occasionally you'll have a kid that comes through, but for the 99.9% of kids, a coach that only wants to win is not worth it. Now, going a bit further from a coaching perspective, team culture comes from the coach and the players that are involved in it. Now, team culture is extremely important, and I don't put it above a coach because a coach is a leader of the team culture in general, but it probably has a bigger influence than a single person does. And this could be the team coaches, either assistant coach or the head coach. It could be the team manager. It could be the players that are involved. There was a couple times where I did have players on my team who I felt scared to go. When I was playing with this, let's just say tier 2 team for a while, and they wanted me to move up to the next team above that. And I was extremely, like, I didn't want to go at all. I felt sick to my stomach when I was first invited. I didn't want to go at all. And that was because of 2 or 3 players. Actually, you know what? It was probably just one player who didn't actually do anything wrong to me, but they just gave me dirty looks. And I just didn't feel comfortable in that environment. Luckily, when I got onto that team, that player had moved on somewhere else. But for me personally, the team culture was something that, as a 13-year-old kid, that I was super uncomfortable with. And for me now as a coach and as a fully fledged adult 13 years later, I understand that now and I totally get that. And for if I was to try and, I don't know, encourage a player to join a team, the first thing I would look at obviously is the coach, and then I would also be like, huh, what's the team like? How do they behave with each other? Is it really a tight knit group? Is it clicky? Are there little smaller groups that don't intermingle? Those are the types of things that when you are looking for a team that isn't really together, that's a sign of a team that is probably going to blow up at some point. And it's the things that you can do to see that is if they do interact, if the team really interacts with each other, or if there's a common goal or purpose. Successful teams can sometimes be pushed by, team culture where you're competing to try and get to the top. But if you really haven't, the last team I ever coached, actually back in Calgary, was an amazing example of this. The boys, when I took them over, were kind of, I'll put it, an average team. They're skilled in some ways and lacked in other ways, as an under 12 team would be. But over time, as we started to add certain players, the culture and the togetherness of the team just became this beautiful thing. And I attribute that they got better, obviously, in their skills, and some players got better and some players moved on. But when I look back, reflecting upon the last 2.5 years, it was the togetherness of that group of individuals, just human beings that were comfortable being with each other like 2, 3, sometimes 4 or 5 times a week. They were fine. They all got on. Yeah, they argued at times, but what are teenage boys supposed to do? They always cared about each other to such a high level. And it was amazing to be a part of that situation or to be a part of that culture. And it wasn't because I did anything specific or my assistant coach did, but it was the individuals themselves that came together and it was so cohesive together. And so when you're looking for a place to place your kid, it's you got to look at these things. Are they bantering back and forth? Are they joking? Are they all together in a group? Are they like sometimes teams will have social medias? Are they actively doing bottle drives? Are they actively, fundraising or going on team events for Christmas, Easter, all of these things add up in the end. And it might seem, a bit overkill. Or why would I pick a team for my kids because they party? It's not the actual act. It's them doing things together. That's what's gonna really bring out, it's what's gonna make them vulnerable and reach out and connect with each other on a deeper level other than the soccer field. If they're gonna look out for each other outside of soccer, then for sure that they are going to die for each other on the field. And luckily, I was blessed to be a part of that culture in the past 3 years. Now, on the flip side, there have been times where, the team didn't develop, and it was because it was just before that team, a team of 2010s that I coached at that time. There was to be fair, there was a lot of changing just from the nature of the team. So we never really got to keep them together, like keep a team culture together. There would have been 4 or 5 changes every single half year, which was about what a season is. And so there was probably about maybe 6 players that stayed together from the 2 years that I took them from beginning to end. But now they had formed a clique. And players that came in didn't always, get involved in that if they were lacking technically or tactically or whatever it was, or even socially, then they wouldn't fit in, which they would really struggle with. And so we never quite got any consistency. Anytime we'd start getting results or things started going our way, then all of a sudden, or after 6 months of a season, we started to really pick it up. The team would get broken down, and then we'd have to start from scratch again. And this happens a ton of the time. And so you're not really able to, have the main core group of players that, foster, a good environment. So teams that change up a lot is something to be aware of. And I know parents who probably listen to this or, watch this, they'll understand from a parent point of view, from a social point of view, that kids, they need consistency. And so the lack of consistency is going to make them they're going to struggle. That's what kids do. They need consistency and habits. And if your friends essentially are going all over the place, and changing every 6 months, then they're going to struggle. And so what you really need is that consistent group of people for them to latch onto and for it to be successful. And lastly, the last point I want to go over is adding those two together, the coaches and the team environment. At the end of the day, if you're with a team and your kid is enjoying it and they're having a good time and enjoying the sport and want to go every time, and it's not a fight to get them to go in the car, then you're probably in the right place. If your kid is, dragging their feet and not wanting to go, or if they're super nervous all the time, or if it's getting worse, if they say they don't want to go or they want to do other programs, then maybe it is time for you to look at other options. But I really think that as a parent, and as a future parent, that it's all about, you want your kids obviously to be successful. Your kid does not have to go to college or university or professional or semi-professional for them to be a success in this sport. The main goal, what we should have as adults, is they started playing at 3 years old. They stopped playing when they couldn't walk because of arthritis at 65 years old. That's really, or beyond, that should be the goal. It's not, all these things in between are nice, and if kids want to achieve that, that's fantastic. That's a cherry on top. But we need to start to prioritize the health, the mental health of the players, and their sanity. And on all honesty, I know so many parents that just want to shove their kids in so many different things, or change their team every 6 months because it's not, the fruits of it aren't there. You won't, when I have a kid, as soon as they start playing soccer, I won't know if it's success until they, are playing into their 20s and 30s and 40s. When I see them like that, I'll know I've done my job. Or if they've, if they choose other paths for other reasons, that's fine as well. It's not, but if they enjoy playing the sport and they want to keep doing it because of their childhood, that's how we know it's a success. Jeez. So figure out the coaching situation. Make sure that they're adults and not just big kids, trying to get a little trophy with their 9-year-old, with their under 19. That's first and foremost. Get a coach that doesn't care if they win a medal at 10 years old. Then we look at the team environment that the coach creates and that the players create. And if it's a consistent team that are respectable and just amazing people, then we look on to, okay, maybe this is where we should put my kid. Because if they don't check those two boxes, then everything else from then on, it's a gamble. And as a parent, and for me as a future parent, I don't want to gamble my kid's future. I want to make sure that they are in the right place and the right environment to be successful. So, wrap it up. To have a successful kid in this sport, to know where you put your kid, is the first one is, what's the coach's situation like? Then we look at the team culture and the player culture, and then, can my kid play here forever? And will putting them on this team positively affect their decision to play soccer for life? Those are the three things. But I'm curious, for you as a parent or a player, what goes into your mind when you're picking a team? Obviously, I've given you my opinion. I'm open to opinions. I love learning. That's the whole purpose of this show. So you tell me what you think is the most important for you. For you, when you pick something for your kid. Is it the jerseys they wear? Hey, that could be something. Is it the cheaper option? Because that's, in this economy, like, I totally understand. Is it the traveling opportunities? It could be a variety of things. I've just given you the things that I believe are the most important. But you let me know. I'm super interested to see what you say. If you have any questions, leave them down below. But other than that, I'll see you guys next time. Love you. Peace.